Good evening, and thank you to everyone that has joined us this evening. This is the third part of a series being run by the Kempton Park Central Family Life Department. This evening, we'll be discussing how to deepen sexual intimacy. We are running a bit late, but we will start soon. We do appreciate your patience.
Good evening, everyone. It's Nom Kwelego, and I'm here with Lishe. Our speaker has joined us. Let us pray as we begin. Let us pray. Baba wethu sezulwini, thank you, Lord, for your love. Thank you for your grace. Thank you for your faithfulness, and thank you for your Sabbath. Sindisi, as we come before your throne, Ngale Ntambama, as we're going to listen to your word and advices, may you help us, Lord, to understand and help us to grow as families. Bless the speaker. May we hear you talking through her, Jehovah Tamidayo. Singathi Nkosi okusilemanyezele igama lakho udumo lobukhosi luze ngakuwe Jesu ngoba niphakeme njalo namandla. NgoJesu wasifile esiphambanweni. Amen.
So people who are specialists in the topic of marriage list amongst the top issues that cause conflict in marriage, intimacy, inhibitions, and lack of honest communication with regards to sex and sexuality. So in the words of an R&B group from the 90s, this evening we will be talking about sex. So let's talk about sex, baby, like this. Let's talk about you and me. With regards to our guests, I think it's a couple that doesn't need any introduction. We have Pastor Camilla. They will be guiding us and sharing some insight on this topic. I know it's one that we have been looking forward to. Umam Camilla, I know she posted this week that life is too short to not have an orgasm. So we will be listening to what she has to say with regards to deepening sexual intimacy in marriage.
Please unmute us. Can't hear a word.
You are unmuted, Pastor. We can hear you.
Pastor, we can hear you. I think we are all able to hear you. Please don't keep us waiting. We've been waiting. Yeah.
All right. Okay.
Over to you.
All right. Lavi, over to your side. Okay. All right. Hello, everyone. I'm just testing if I am. I tried to unmute
muted.
myself. You are not muted,
I
Lavi.
can't
Go
hear
on.
a thing.
I can hear you. I can hear you. I'm not sure if you can. Can you hear me from my side? Anyone from the program? Can you hear
I
us?
can't hear a thing.
Good evening. Good evening. If somebody can hear me, please. Okay.
Yes, we can hear you, ma'am.
Mama, we can hear you. We can also hear the pastor. I think the pastor needs to increase the volume on his
But
laptop
it's on
or
100%.
the phone, the device that he's using. He needs to increase the
It's on
volume there because
100%.
we
I
can
can't
hear.
hear a thing. It's like I'm muted.
I don't know. But let me say, we are sorry, these are just the technicalities. My husband is in the Northern Cape. I am in the Free State. So we are at different provinces, you know, and if you are hearing me quite well, because I can hear him, but maybe he can't hear whoever is talking. But if you can hear us quite well or can hear me quite well, we really are honored to have been invited by you on a topic that we are very passionate about. So I'm not sure who he's trying to call right now, because I can see him, he's on the phone, but be that as it may, if you can hear me, it's gonna be hot in here. It's gonna be very, very hot in here. So there are some housekeeping rules that we want to communicate from the word go. I assume that we are talking to couples. I've seen two beautiful ladies, young couples. I'm not sure if it's a mixture of couples that we are having here in as far as age is concerned. But if we are talking to couples, I can assure you that there's not going to be any age restriction. There's not going to be any language restriction. I was actually looking at the gestures of, why do I forget? I don't know your surname, Yasekaya, but a former Miss Nube. Why do I forget your name? But I was looking at her gestures when she was saying, we are going to be talking about sex. I said, come on, you've got to be bold. You know, when you talk about this item, you've got to be bold. You don't have to be saying, we are going to be talking about sex. Say, we are going to be, because we are going to be talking about something very, very, very nice. Okay, so if you hear me, let me also try to, ease you while my husband is trying to get in here. Let me try to ease you just by showing you which is gonna be hot in here. So there's some housekeeping rules that we want to, my husband is going to start in a formal way with the biblical text that we are going to kickstart our discussion. But because he's still coming, let me say to you that one of the housekeeping rules that we want to communicate with you is this one. Listen to this one. Now, coming to 2022, of course, I would say coming from beginning tomorrow or maybe tonight, but just to make a provision, coming to 2022, listen to this one. All those guys, are you listening? All those people, all those guys who play music during sex, but listen to this one, they come even before the chorus starts. Listen, please don't take this foolishness to 2022. I'm not sure if you heard me. I'm not sure. Right now, as I'm talking, I don't know if I'm audible. I don't know if you guys can hear what I'm saying. I'm just bubbly talking. But let me repeat this first house rule. Those guys who like to play music before they start their sex act, and yet, even before the chorus starts, they've already come. Guys, you need to stop this foolishness. Our God is so smart. Our God is so brilliant, you know, that he came up with this. My husband is sending me a message here. He's asking, I don't know why. He's saying, I'm already online. I don't know. The elder, can you please try and assist him? But also, I want somebody to please try to show me if all these things that I've said so far, I don't know if I am, you know, you can hear what I'm saying before I get to house rule number 2. Let me just get if you guys can hear what I am saying. Let me get that confirmation first. What it looks like now, I was talking all by myself. All right. Lavi?
I can hear you. I'm here.
You can hear me now.
Yeah, I'm using a different device.
Is it?
Yeah.
You look so handsome. What's up? What's up with you? Did I just make you shy?
You see, somehow you made me freeze. You look pretty as well.
Oh, thank you. I struggled. Hey, I struggled. But again, let's stop our thing. We are here. I've already highlighted house rule number 1. I told them, I don't know if you heard, but I told them, those guys who are, I first told them that we were going to start this thing formally with the Bible text, but because we were still struggling, so I told them house rule number 1. I said those guys who like to play music when they get into effects, and yet even before the chorus starts, Babe Sebete come. I said they must stop that foolishness in 2022. But I'm tempted to say they must stop that foolishness beginning from tonight. They must stop that foolishness. All those people who like to play music during sex, but come before even the chorus starts. I hope that point is clear. I hope that point is clear. So before I get to house rule number 2, I don't know, Lavi, if should I come down and allow you to start the way we were supposed to start with a biblical text. Otherwise, I'm ready with my firing shot.
All right. Thank you very much. We'd like to say thank you for inviting us as a couple. By the way, I'm just doing some work in the Northern Cape quickly, and I'll be back probably Sunday. That's why we're using different venues. Otherwise, my wife and I love this topic quite a lot. We talk about it all the time. Just for introduction, we have been married for the past 37 years. How many years is it now between our first encounter in 1980 up to the time we got married in 1984, in total of the years that you and me know each other, just for record? I want you to also mention that, because I know it's up to 42 years now, but at least I just wanted you to say that. in total.
Yeah. Let me correct what you just said now. We met in 1980. We got married in 1984. And our first encounter was in 1984 on the subject tonight.
Yes, in fact, this is what I wanted to highlight. All the couples, while they're listening, they should also know that the topic is really not about us, but it's about empowering yourselves, and we will be generalizing. But just as a way of introduction, I want you to know that the first time we ever met in person on an intimate level was on the 10th of December, 1984. We got married on the 9th, but we only had to have a physical encounter on the 10th, which was my birthday, by the way, on that particular day. So we never met even intimately prior to that for the past 4 years that we had an encounter with, from 1980 to 1984. We were very modest people. In fact, we were taught never to touch.
Okay, now that you are mentioning this, Lavina, allow me to also tell them that the reason why to us it's important now to specialize and be passionate about sex is that day on the 10th that you are mentioning, the 10th of December 1984, I actually ran away. You remember? I ran away because
we're not up to it. You were not up to it for whatever reason. I don't know. I was so much in a hurry to meet you, but you were not up to it. I don't know what was going on.
No. It's because of this very thing of not having proper knowledge and proper information. Because as far as I'm concerned, I was just happy to have you as my boyfriend, or maybe as my new husband, as a person that I'm going to spend time with, and not necessarily, sexually involved with. Being a virgin, for all this time. And now that you are trying to come to me on the 10th, and I'm like, no, you can't do this. I still have to keep myself for what? I don't know. So
yeah, of course, we went past that. I just want us to, as we highlight these matters, which are very much important to us as we reflect and think about them today. I just want us to have our minds reflecting on a biblical injunction. We know the scripture. I know the scripture that you know, and you know the scripture that I know as well. But I just want to highlight it because for the purposes of today's topic. The Bible, I think it is a book of 1 Corinthians chapter 7, is very clear on the fact that husbands and wives should never deprive each other of their conjugal rights unless they are in a period of fasting and prayer. But they must agree on that. There's not going to be one person and say, I'm busy fasting and praying, therefore you're not going to get your conjugal rights. They have to get them, and they have to agree, and there has to be some kind of a negotiated part for that particular thing. So that is what it says. Now, also the Bible is telling us that when God created Adam and Eve, these are very familiar texts that we know, where in chapter 2, verse 22, 24, up to 25, actually, all those verses, where the Bible says, and the man shall leave his mother and father and shall cleave to his mother, and the two shall be one flesh. The one flesh idea is very broad. We're talking about physical, one flesh, the emotional one flesh, the social one flesh, the connection, the connectedness, where the two of you have become one, and you separate yourselves from everybody else because you are now one. That now gives space to the intimate moment between the two of you. Now, the last text I'm quoting, as we are going to get into all these things, the Bible also is telling us that God said, be fruitful and multiply. I think that is in chapter 1, be fruitful and multiply. I think in verse 28, be fruitful. And the only way people can be fruitful and the only way people can multiply is for them to have their conjugal rights, their sexual encounter, and it's meant for the pleasure. Now, one preacher once said sexuality was created by God. In fact, sex was created by God for two things. One, for the fulfillment of human love, number two, and for the multiplication of the human race. So God had created for our pleasure. He made it for us to have fun and enjoy it. And oh boy, one thing I know about sex, it's very nice. It's enjoyable. Thank God. And I also believe when God says be fruitful and multiply, the angels probably were watching in amazement. What's going to happen here? Because they themselves are not created to multiply, neither are they created to get married, neither are they created to have heterosexual relationships or any kind of relationships of humankind. So they must have been flapping their wings when God said, be fruitful and multiply. And they said, well, good, what's going to happen here now? Well, God knew, Adam knew, Eve knew, and they did not ask questions. What do you mean, be fruitful and multiply? They just look at each other and they started to do the deeds immediately, right in front of God, and God was very happy. So were the angels. That is why sex is very holy, because it is witnessed by God and his holy angels. So we're going to talk about this today, and we're going to have time. Maybe, I don't know whether people will be allowed to ask questions, or maybe we should look at our screens and look at the questions, maybe answer them, but we will speak about the matters that I believe they matter most to the couples that we are talking about. Now, I've just related a few scriptural texts. Although I didn't read them, I simply paraphrase them so that we can have a point of departure, knowing that God is actually involved in sex. And not only is he involved, God is also instructing us to do it. Because if you don't, you're breaking God's law. So do it and keep the law of God and God's command. My wife? Now you're muted. I can't hear. You're muted once again.
Okay. Can you hear me now?
Yeah, I can hear you now.
All right. I was just about to say on that point when you say it's nice. It was created by God. It's something that God did so that we can enjoy it. We can also multiply, be fruitful and multiply and stuff like that. But I also wanted to highlight that married couples who have sex regularly, they live longer. I don't know if you guys, sometimes the people, when you meet people on the wherever, and they say, hey, you are aging gracefully. Hey, what's your secret? Hey, the more you are getting, you are aging, you are becoming more beautiful. Let me tell you, couples who have sex regularly, they live longer and they have a better heart health. And they enjoy a deep connection. That's also another thing. And they let go of annoyances easier. Uchugu alubikho. Uchugu, yazi umuntu once bawudibana nomuntu onochugu, whether enkonzweni or whether at your workplace, a person who is all the time onochugu, ubuyazi ukuthi isawuti iningi laphaya. There's a lot of salt there. Right there. Because listen, guys, marriage is yeah.
No, I was saying this.
I was saying marriage. Yes. I was saying marriage is marriage. It's not just a roommate relationship, because of the joining of the flesh. Sex is a big deal. So that's why you need to make it a priority. It's a big deal.
Exactly. In fact, the things that you have said are quite scientifically proven. There are some texts or that have been published to prove that people who regularly have sex actually live a little longer, their health is better, and their heart rate and all those things. And some of these ailing things of sickness and all those things, they are offended away when you regularly do sex. It's the important thing also I want to bring to the attention of our listeners today is that sexual intercourse does not start in the bedroom when you are just ready to bounce on each other, so to speak. It does not start there. But even before I mention that, let me also say sexual intercourse is not what one person does to the other, is what the two of you do to each other. I don't know whether it makes it clear. It's not like I'm going to do this to you. The moment it becomes a one person's act of somebody who's going to do something to the other, then it becomes vulgar. It not only is it become vulgar, it's also become unbiblical. There has to be mutuality. There has to be something done by the other partner to please the other and the other partner pleasing the other. Not that I'm going to do this to you. There are songs, for instance, that are very vulgar, that are just showing that they are created from the devil's altar. Like another song, which is a secular song, I Wanna Sex You Up. I think you know about that song. It is now very vulgar. For one thing, it is one person who's going to do this thing to the other person. What are you going to do to me? No, it's not about that. It's about what we are going to do to each other or with each other. That mutuality is not only loftier and higher, but it's also biblical, because both partners must partake of it, enjoy it, be agreeable, and do it to please each other. That is one very important thing I wanted to bring to our attention. Now, I also mentioned to you that sex does not only start when you are in the bedroom. It starts long before that. It starts during the day. It also starts a few days before. It starts a week before. Before the actual day in which the two of you are going to have that encounter in bed, that beautiful, lovely encounter in bed, it starts many, many, many hours before. Like, for instance, the two of you are working.
Are you talking about flirting, Lavi?
I'm talking about what?
Are you flirting? Are you referring to flirting? Flirt?
The two of you must flirt during the day.
I agree.
Working and the other one is at home.
Yes, I agree with you when you say. Yes. So I agree with you when you say it doesn't start ngokuthi sikhwele sonke phaya ebhedini gqum. No. Of course gqum at all. All right. The preparation is very much necessary. The preparation, you must physically touch her every day, at least
every time,
every day, even if it's only 1 minute or two. If you haven't adopted that habit, I'm pleading with you to do that. Physical touch is very much important. And let me tell you something as well.
Yeah. That physical touch.
Okay. Yes.
No, continue.
Okay. I want to say something controversial. A little bit of it. Allow your wife to teach you things without being defensive.
Exactly. Because maybe she has had some knowledge of certain things about sex and sexuality that you may not be aware. Also, wife, please allow your husband to teach you things, because you may not have all the knowledge about sex and sexuality when you are an adult. You may have to learn a few things only when you are married from your partner. This is very much important. Now, that flirtatious, That flirtatiousness that we talk about, it involves quite a lot of things. These are common sense things that a person who is married should know what to do and how to do them. Like the touch is not just casual touch, like playing touch. You actually hold the person. Not only do you hold the person, if you are actually holding from the back and you embrace her with both your arms, make sure that you nibble the neck. It feels so good. It disarms even the hardest woman. Trust me, it does. That neck thing, whatever it is, do. So those are common sense things. They really don't need any rocket science. They are just very common sense. And we cannot be surpassed by animals who know what to do when it has to be mating season. We're not mating. We're making love as human beings. We're not mating. But we have to have natural understanding of common sense of things that will make the other person happy. Because we are created in God's image. Our own standard is much higher than that of animals. That is why you should naturally know what is it that you should do to make the other person happy.
You've just highlighted something very important, Lavi. I don't want you to pass. I don't want you to pass. You've highlighted things that people need to be mindful of when they are engaging. You've highlighted, body parts that we should never ignore, during the foreplay and also during the act itself. And you spoke about the neck thing and all that. Now, let me mention another one. Which is ultra-sensitive border around the lips. Yabona ke azifundiswa ezinto abantu xa bekhula. When you are busy bombarding people with Ellen G. White stuff, without minding the fact that these things must be practical, must be taught, so that when they get into their families, they need to be mindful of them. You are not even taught how to kiss. I want to take you slowly and say the ultra-sensitive border around the lips. It's called it's a scientific thing that they call it a buccal nerve. It surrounds the edge of the mouth. Don't jump to the mouth. There's a sensitive part around the edge of the mouth that has untapped potential to stimulate when you are kissing. Okay, so take it slow. Take it slow. Don't just bum. You want to insert the tongue. No, it has nothing to do about that. This area that I'm talking about is extremely sensitive to touch, but unfortunately it is overlooked. It is overlooked since most people, they focus on the tongue, they focus on the lips, and in fact I came across what one clinical sexologist by the name of Rachel Ross. She has an MD or a PhD on that. Now she says if you try lightly, tracing the tip of your finger around the edges of your mouth, like you're pulling on the liner, you'll experience some tingling, you'll experience almost some ticklish feeling, and that's where you are supposed to be focusing on. Because when you're marking out, you don't need to lick around his entire mouth or your hair entire mouth to get the benefits. There are some benefits that you would get instead of kissing your partner as you normally do. Then please try and use the tip of your tongue to trace the edge of his or her upper lip tightly. Then pull it back playfully and kiss him again. Then trace the border of his bottom lip. You know, this is just a starting point. This is just a starting point. And many people, they overlook this. They overlook this. I'm talking about the outer, the border of the lip. And I'm saying, go and experiment this. Then you must know, Gucci, you are starting something that is going to kickstart the beauty of this thing.
All right. Thank you very much. As we speak about the foreplay, my wife is actually emphasizing the issue of kissing and also the technical know-how of how to really kiss in such a way that it will stimulate and make you ready for the next part in the act of sex. And we are also taking into cognizance that this that we have just said, it will differ from person to person. Some people really love to play around their lips, and their lips can be very sensitive, and the edges of the lips can be very sensitive. But others may just be not much, or they have not explored it, or they have not even started to understand that the lips, the outer edges particularly, are very sensitive. So it will differ from person to person, but we do encourage you to explore and to try these things. Now, talking about foreplay. Foreplay is one of the most important parts in a love relationship when you start doing intimate acts of sex. For one thing, you don't have the same speed as a couple to reach to a point where you actually have the actual sexual encounter or penetration, so to speak. You don't have the same speed to reach that. The other partner may be a bit slow. The other partner may be a bit fast. That is why it's important that when you do the foreplay, you find out what is it that your partner enjoys the most. My wife has just mentioned the issue of the lips. Other people would rather have other parts of the body touched in order to get a maximum stimulation. And that is where you need to communicate with language, body language. That's where you need to communicate verbally. That's why you had to whisper the sweet nothings in the ear. Please touch me there. Oh, yes, right there. Right. You see, when you talk about that and your partner knows, you will discover that while with others, the lips that have just been mentioned by my wife are the greatest stimulant that bring maximum stimulation. Other people would rather have been kissed in the neck or the back of the neck or the ear, the nibbling of the pinna of the ear and all those things. Sometimes even the inner ear, bitter as it may be inside there, but people love it. So it's part of the foreplay. And of course, your hands must not be lazy to explore. Your hands must not be lazy.
Talking about the hands, Labi, about the hands, I need to mention that our hands, talking about the hands, our hands have the same amount of nerve endings as our genitals.
People do not know
I'm telling you, people don't realize that. They don't realize that. That is why earlier on we spoke about the touching. Our hands have the same nerve ending, as our genitals. And I wanted also to highlight the fact that you need to don't be scared to take his hands and lead him to these places that you want him to touch. You understand what I'm saying? If you want to be touched on the face, if you want to be touched on the fingertips, if you want to be touched down over your neck, if you want to be touched on your shoulders, your breast, and other sensitive spots, and other sensitive spots, use touch to show them exactly how you like to be touched. And you mentioned earlier on, Labi, that abantu abafani, abantu responda differently. Now, and we know, just like cars, other cars, they use e-petrol. Other cars, they have e-engineered diesel. Right? Now, e-engineered diesel, if malagade,
Yeah, it takes time to
Unlike
warm
the
up.
engine, your petrol, am I right?
That's correct. Diesel takes time to warm up.
Yes, exactly. So it's very much important if you know that you are having a partner who has a diesel engine, then you know there's a lot of work that needs to be done. But if you have a touch and go kind of a thing, oh my goodness, my goodness,
Lovely.
my goodness.
That I want to bring up as we talk about this in preparation for the actual act is once your partner feels sense of security. This is very critical. Folk, you would want to believe that your partner is cold. You use the word uyabanda. Ukubanda, or being cold or frigid, as it were, has everything to do with their sense of security. Are they feeling secure? Are they feeling protected? Are they feeling that they are not competing with anyone? See, once the mind is disturbed by the thoughts that I am competing with somebody else, it could be your relatives, it could be your mom, it could be your daddy, it could be your family, it could be even other women or other men.
Yeah.
But sensitively, particularly with women, they don't want to feel that they are competing with anybody in that sacred space of sexual encounter. So make them feel secure, make them feel comfortable, make them feel assured that they are one and only persons in your life right now, and nobody else is competing with them for your attention. So if regularly you give your family more attention than her, and she has to compete now with your mother, if you're a man, compete with your mother for your attention, and then kind of feel neglected and not cared for on basic things, even finances, that you give so much money to your mom, you forget that she also needs some money as a wife. Those little things, they don't seem to matter. Trust me, once it comes to intimacy, they become a huge mountain. So your wife, as a man, must never feel that they are competing with your relatives, with your mom, with your daddy, with your brothers or your sisters for your attention, or even other women, so to speak. Once other women are in some way at the background and they are kind of threatening her space, it makes her feel frigid and cold and not responsive sexually. So which means make that space comfortable for her in order for her to feel that she's wanted, she's special, she's loved, she's cared for.
In fact, I agree with you, because sex is physical, but it is also emotional. You know, so once your emotions are not tempered with, and there's a lot of factors that temper with your emotions, you know, that automatically closes off. You close. That's where you will hear the story of headaches, unending headaches, you know, because there are things that are not, there are issues that needs to be addressed, and some people would rather let's engage, and then when we engage, things will sort themselves out. Okay, if we engage sexually, things will sort themselves out. But they forget that sex is not only physical, it is also emotional. Because how do you engage? How do you engage when there are issues that still need to be addressed? How do you engage with somebody who has messed you up, and now they, in the morning, it's like they move on as if nothing happened? Exactly. How do you open up? You know, how do you open up? How do you become receptive? You understand what I'm saying? So I agree with you to say there are things that needs to be sorted out. There are things that can prevent the security part, the no competition part. We need to feel protected so that we are able to be at ease.
Sure, definitely. The moment you sort those things out and you are comfortable, you've given that comfortable space, then obviously your wife or even your partner, for that matter, these things of insecurity can also come with men who are feeling a bit insecure and a bit, there's a competition for whatever. They become cold and not responsive sexually, and that is very, very much important. I want us to pass this point. At least we've made enough of it, and I want to get into the issue of creativity. You know, when you eat food daily, you don't eat the same food. You want to have a variety, and we in the Eastern Cape love umngqusho. And you guys in the Gauteng area like ipapa. It's ipapa with whatever, maybe with acha or with other shebo. But in the Eastern Cape, it's mngqusho. But I can tell you, whether you love papa or you love mngqusho, you don't eat mngqusho every day. There has to be a variety of items on the table so that the table can be attractive every day. And you can look forward to the table every day. Now, the moment it's mngqusho every day, I can tell you now, you get bored. You get bored, even if it's tasty, but you really get bored. So bring in some flavors and other items on the table and be creative. And once you are creative, your partner shouldn't ask you, you're just being creative to create space. The two of you should enjoy. Don't ask questions. Don't go ahead and do the thing as long as it is pleasurable, agreeable, mutually understood by both of you, but be very creative. We cannot come here and give you a list of things that you need to do for creativity. As a person in your private space, think, use the gray matter up there, and use your mind and your creativity to find out what can we do today to make this encounter a pleasurable thing. I'll just give one simple example, and there are many. We are not going to be exhausting them in this broadcast, but just one example. Let's say, for instance, you've been married for 5 years or even 10 years. Just surprise your partner with something extremely sexy once in a while, or you can do it regularly, it's fine. Now, this thing of a fur coat, you are covered with a fur coat, it's like cold, even if it's hot, fur coat. And then when you take off the fur coat, wow, what a beautiful lingerie behind or underneath this fur coat. It can stimulate, it becomes very beautiful. And I can tell you, these are some of the creative things. These are not small little things that I'm just mentioning. I've mentioned the fur coat thing. There are so many of them. Of course, with so much sexual explosion in the day and time in which we live, some things that are done out there are so unbiblical, unchristian, and immodest. So there's so much people are absorbing from the secular world, even by watching pornographic stuff that show them things that are definitely not within the Christian realm. Remember that sex is holy. God is involved. The angels of God are watching, and God himself is watching, and he has created it for your pleasure. But then the moment you start things that are from the devil's table and bring them over to your bedroom, not only are you making the space dirty, so to speak, and I wanted to use the word, man, desecrate. Yeah, that's the word. Desecrating the whole space. Things from the secular world, from the world of pornography and all those things. You remember, this is very clean. It's holy. It's created by God for your enjoyment. At the moment you do it the way God had intended for you to do, you certainly enjoy to the maximum. I can tell you that Satan has got his own creativity, which he has brought in the sex bedroom. things that when you look at them, you discover that not only can God frown at these things, they can actually desecrate that holy space.
Okay, I wanted to mention something, Lavi. When you said earlier on that people must be intentional, people must be creative. Yeah, that's the word that you mentioned. People must be creative. I wanted to highlight that when people are young, ne, xa nisebatsha emtshatweni, creativity it just comes along. Because there's a lot of energy.
It's on its maximum.
Yes, there's a lot of energy. There's a lot of energy. There's a lot of exploring each other's body. Nikuthalele, this thing, right? And you are being boosted by the fact that the energy is there. All right, but as you grow. As you grow 40 and above, I can tell you that the energy it lessens a bit. In fact, I came across, I don't know what I heard, that even the male organ it gets smaller.
Yeah.
Sorry, I'm not laughing.
No, as you grow older, this is now science. This is science we're talking about. Although we're not scientists. We're just married counselors and all that. But the science is telling us that the older you grow as a man, your organ gets smaller and it shrinks. But it won't be small until it gets finished. But it gets smaller than it was when you were younger. This is now science. We're not just scooping it out of our minds as we speak.
Yeah. So what I wanted to highlight, based on that, especially with elderly couples, I wanted to highlight the intentionality, because it doesn't mean when you are getting older, it means you are now forfeiting the fun, forfeiting the creativity, forfeiting the intentionality about it. No. In fact, the more you grow older, the more nicer it becomes. The more creative and the more fun, because there's no fear of getting pregnant. There's no fear of family planning. Things. There's an endless kind of, and there's that freedom. We are not friends. There's that freedom, and that's where you need to be more creative. That's where guys. I want you to know that if there's ever an item that
in fact, I was saying on that point that you have just made, that with women, I've discovered the older they grow, the more they want to be intimate, and they mature like good wine. They are better off when they are older. And I can tell you that the creativity there, the beauty there, the encounter, the intimacy, the warmth is I can tell you, it's something out of this world. And that is why you have to keep your wife until the two of you are separated by death, because more is yet to come. When you are young, you enjoy it with excitement, it's fine. But when you are older, you enjoy it with being seasoned in the act.
Exactly.
I can tell you, it's a much deeper encounter than it is when you are young. Trust me.
Exactly.
We've been
Let me as well. Okay,
no.
let me as well mention this, Lavi, because it looks like my data is gonna run off. I can see you are in the office where now you are safe. Let me mention this, that sex it boosts your immune system, guys. We are talking about COVID. We are talking about HIV. We are talking about whatever. God has given us a vaccine, a natural vaccine to these things. It boosts your immune system. If you don't know that, I'm telling you, you are depriving yourself of something. And also, ladies, it burns calories. It does that. It burns calories.
Well, it's
Ungahamba wena uyojima uthini uthi it's fine. Eh?
because we sweat quite a lot. Too much
does that.
activity.
Yes, it actually lowers your blood pressure as well. Look
Yeah.
at how clever and how smart our God is. Yes, it lowers your blood pressure as well, and it lessens. I think I spoke about it earlier on, that it lessens your risk of heart attack.
All right.
It's true. It's scientifically proven. You know,
Also with the prostate cancer, you know, it weighs itself off as well. Men who are not active, they are standing at a risk. You know, you need to use your AK-47. Use it to the maximum. You use it to the maximum, of course, like higher, because it also helps you to relax. It takes your mind off pain. Let me tell you, if you are having pain, stress, headache, it takes your mind off pain and it prolongs your life. If you want to live longer, here's here's something. Okay.
First, some folk are asking questions before you run out of your data over there. I'm using an office Wi-Fi, so I don't have issues with data. I want us to answer, maybe look at the questions there. As somebody is asking, what does creativity mean? As Christian, does exploring with toys still count as being creative? Yeah, well, I don't want to get into those things because we're not sexologists. We just pastoral counselors. But there's one thing I can just bring in this as an answer to that question. These things have come with our time. These things are things that have been introduced in our modern days. The issues of sex toys are introduced in modern days, and we cannot have a biblical foundation in trying to support or discredit them. We cannot. We just let it be as it is. If it is not mentioned in the Bible as it is wrong, then we cannot, as the couple who are giving this counsel, say it is wrong. We can't do that. Neither can we promote it and say it is right if it is not mentioned in the scripture that it is right. So we just let it be to be what it is. If people want to explore with toys, we will never condemn it. And neither are we going to promote it because the scripture is silent about it. So we leave it to the couple to decide what is it that is best suited for them. And if those toys are not demeaning with human dignity, are not undermining the person of the other, the person of the other person. So shall I say, what is that? The dignity of the other person. Yeah, if those things are not undermining the dignity of the other person, I don't have issues with them. People can start playing as long as that creativity will still maintain an atmosphere of understanding that God is also involved in this particular act of sex. I'm trying to answer that question as fairly as I can.
Yeah, talking about that, I'm not sure if it will also answer the question that while we are talking about toys, there are toys, natural toys that God has given us that we don't utilize. We don't utilize because okwethu kukujumpa nje, ujumpa phezu kombhede, ushukume ugqibe, ujonge ngaphaya, omnye ajonge ngaphaya. There are toys that we have. There's a G-spot that you need to fiddle around with, that you need to find, search and find, and use it to the maximum. And by the way, when we are talking about the G-spot, we think we are talking about the ladies only. But can I tell you that there's a spot in the male, you know, just behind, just behind. There's a spot, there are sensitive spots there that even on the genitals, there are sensitive spots there that we need to play around if you are talking about of toys. that we need to play around and manipulate and enjoy. Those are some of the things that we neglect and we abandon. And those are the things that we need to, explore and enjoy. I can't see questions from my side, Lavi. Maybe you see questions on your side.
Yeah, well, I do see some. In fact, there was only one question for now, and I haven't seen any at this point in time. People are free to ask questions. We don't want to exhaust everything, not say everything, especially if we have to talk about issues of sexuality with so much experience that we have as a married couple, with so much that we have read and come across, and so many couples that we have counseled. We cannot exhaust it in this short time. So people must also stimulate questions themselves. And
Okay. I also wanted to mention that don't assume that your partner knows about everything you expect in a sexual encounter. Okay? Don't assume. Let him know. Let her know. Okay? So that communication is very much important. It's very much important. Lead a person. I think I mentioned that one earlier. Lead a person to where you want to you want him to touch, or you want him to want her to know. So don't assume that they know. Okay? Don't.
Exactly. I just want to bring. All right. Thank you, madam. I want to bring this last point on my part, just before I give the time for the questions. This point is running away from me because I'm on the camera now. The point about satisfaction and the point about fulfillment. Satisfaction is what happens at that particular moment. After you have come, you feel satisfied. You take a sigh of relief and a deep breath and say, my goodness, that was very good. This is satisfaction. But fulfillment is much deeper and broader than satisfaction. Satisfaction is momentarily at that time, but fulfillment is very holistic. When mentally you are stable and emotionally you are comfortable and you are on an equilibrium. When socially you feel you belong to this one person, where you have a sense of security, where you know that you're not competing with anyone, the sexual act itself becomes very fulfilling and it's long lasting. So there is this difference between satisfaction and fulfillment. Many marriages have got satisfaction, but have no fulfillment. So I want you to think deep about it, that it's important that you create a space in your sexual encounter in which fulfillment will also take place between you and your partner. I wanted to bring that point. Now, I can see that there's a question that I want to read quickly before we run out of time. I don't know how much time we've got. They will have to alert us. Let me just read this question from my laptop here. It says, what is creativity? Please dwell more on this, because at church, some old woman once sat us down as young ladies, telling us that sexual styles are evil. Ooh. And for prostitutes. Really? She said their style is holy and good. Wow. And I believe some people believed her, which is said, people spiritual, let me just read that again, which is said, people spiritual, some things which, or spiritualize maybe, some things which mess up so many marriages. Okay, now there's one thing we should also understand when you hear a counsel from the elderly people, or anybody for that matter. People approach the sexual encounter based on their upbringing, based on their background, based on the environment in which they grew up, based on the level of information that they have. So our elderly people, it was taboo in the olden days to even have a conversation about sex in the open space like we are doing right now. So even the growing up in an environment, you discover that sex is not something that people wanted to talk about. Where it's a taboo subject. People did not want to talk about it. All you do, just do, and don't talk about it. So these conversations are helpful for the modern day person, so that you will know and explore and find out the element of sexuality in this day and time. And the issue of saying only missionary style is acceptable to God, says who?
Yo.
Says,
Yo.
for goodness sake, you deprive yourself of some other very good, great things in the privacy of your home. There is nothing called bad or good. In the privacy of your bedroom, you explore and do all sorts of things. As long as those things will not demean the dignity of the other person or the dignity of the sexual act itself, which is very holy. But everything else, beloved friends, I tell you, you do all sorts of styles. In my book that I've compiled, it's a book that I'm using to do premarital guidance to young couples. I've got all sorts of styles of sexual positions that I've drawn there for them to know that as they are going to get married, they should explore this style and this style and this style. Of course, some styles are so difficult, they will need a gymnast. But even if you're not a gymnast, if you're creative enough, you'll be able to enjoy them to the maximum. There's another question. I don't know, Lavi, whether I should read this question or allow you to say something.
Okay, no, I just wanted to say, Lavi, one sentence. When people get into their bedroom and they close the door, they are just left to themselves only. There's no mama wasenkonzweni. There's no old lady wasenkonzweni. They are just left to themselves, and they need to just explore each other. That's all that I can say. All right. So yes. So I'm actually okay.
Let me read this question, just in case you run out of your time over that side. What's the position of sex on Sabbath? Also, there are talks about having sex when you are preaching on Sabbath, that you shouldn't partake. Does it really affect you? Now listen, this question has been asked many times. And Ellen White was asked this question by another brother during when Ellen White was still alive and as a prophetess, and she was encountering people asking all sorts of questions. They asked this very question: is it proper to have sex on Sabbath? The answer that Ellen White gave to that person, he says, my brother, you're married, you have a wife, go and be a man. Those questions about Sabbath or not Sabbath are irrelevant. Just go and be a man.
A preacher elambile, ilambisa everybody.
Exactly. And ilambela yonkinto. So it must be a preacher that is fulfilled.
Exactly.
Remember, fulfillment?
Yes.
Must be a preacher that is fulfilled.
Iba nochuku iqapukiswa nazezi miniskirt idibana nazo enkonzweni. A preacher elambile. That's all.
It's sermon. Yes. It's sermon as miniskirts. Yeah, exactly.
Cleavage by sermon. Ilambile lo preacher leyo.
Abona the preacher ezawuthetha ngama-cleavage ne-miniskirts uyazi ukuthi yabona ke leyo akanayo i-fulfillment nje or ne-satisfaction for that matter akayitholi. Makathula athi akayeka abantwana nama-cleavage wabo, makayeka abantwana nelento nama-miniskirts wabo. They are not your wives. You have a wife at home. So please deal with your wife and deal with your own marriage and deal with sex at home. So ubona iziskirt awuzinaki yazini muthuthi ivumba leKentucky etown awunaki.
Exactly.
Fana ngathi alikho ndithi nebakery ibakery modlo lebakery kwaAlbany kubhakwa izonga uma uhluthi esasonga lesi sinuka kamnandi, but it's no big deal for you because you are fulfilled, uhluthi uright. So indaba yokuthi uye enkonzweni ulambile uzofika ushumayele get mini skirts in cleavage. Please go get yourself some life. Have sex with your wife as a preacher.
Okay, lovely. I wanted to say now, because I'm about to part, I wanted to say, I did mention that life is too short not to orgasm every day. I did mention that. I mentioned that because I want people to be intentional about it. If you want peace at home, if you want stability at home, if you want fun, if you want to enjoy your marriage life, plan that every day there's got to be an orgasm. And let me tell you, if you want to achieve that, do it. Help even with the chores ekhaya. Xa kuthiwa loo nto uyenzayo uyazenzela. Help with the chores ekhaya, because you are actually cooking something that will benefit you. A happy wife is a thermometer esekhaya. You know, a wife that has less orgasms, uyabonakala nalapha ebusweni. Uyaglowa umfazi that gets a lot of orgasm. Life is too short not to orgasm every day. Lastly, if you promise me that you are taking me to Durban, ngicela into yoba side siyofika eDurban. Ungangishiya endleleni ipetrol yakho iphele endleleni. If you want us to go, we are taking a trip to Durban. Let us get to our destination. All right? So please, petrol, my daughter, fill up your tank so that we get to the destination. Masingathi sifika lapha eponeni bese sifikile kwi destination, because it means I'm going to have to fake my orgasm. I cannot afford to fake an orgasm. Ngimdala kakubi to be faking an orgasm. All right? So please, that's what I wanted to say. And when you get into the bedroom, sex is worship. One item that we don't know and we don't realize, it is sacrifice. It is giving in your all. It is a form of worship. So when we get into that area, into that most holy place, let us be serious about it. Masinga fonyos. Masinga fonyos.
Beautiful, Mgam. Beautiful. Lovely. Now, let me just ask this question. Read this question. Though the holy angels and God rejoice in the act, how come sexual intercourse is so demonized? It's a beautiful question. It's a lovely question. I love that. I love that question. Remember, one thing about sex is that angels themselves, the holy angels of God, rejoice with it because they worship God. And they know that everything that comes from God's hand is holy and is good. And when God had created it for mankind, he created for mankind, not for angels, but angels supported it because they were supporting the God who created it. Now, the fallen angels, which also have the same characteristics or traits in their bodies, like the unfallen angels, they don't get married, they don't engage in sexual intercourse, they don't do everything that we as human beings, they probably don't even have sexual organs. So Satan hates everything that God is blessed. Remember when God said, be fruitful and multiply? That's verse 28 of chapter 1 in the book of Genesis. God was blessing. Now, when God blesses, Satan curses that. He hates it with passion. He does not know what the blessing encounters or what the blessing entails. So for the mere fact that it's God's blessing, he hates it. He hates it with passion. Now listen to this. When Satan decides to demonize sex, he demonizes it precisely because it's got God's blessing in it. It's not only sex, by the way, that which was blessed at creation, the Sabbath was blessed, and Satan hates it. Sex was blessed, and Satan hates it. Because it's got God's blessing. That is why Satan hates it. Now, demonizing it is to make it look like an evil thing and create in the minds of men and influencing them to think that this thing is bad, is evil, is dirty, yet the thing is holy. Yet the thing is blessed. Yet the thing has got God's blessings. So it's demonized precisely because Satan is warring against it, is fighting against it, as he fights against everything that God has blessed. I'm trying to answer that question of this person who say, how come that is so demonized? It is demonized by Satan and his evil angels. Now, I don't think there's another question here. Oh, no. People are just saying kushushu up and saying hallelujah, mama.
What I wanted to say, Lovey, what I wanted to say while I still have this, Natika, don't please, guys, don't turn your bedroom into a courtroom. I want to beg with you now, please leave unfinished businesses, quarrels, and fight, out of your bedroom. All right, let your bedroom be a place of bonding, please. Let it be a place of intimacy with your spouse. Let your bedroom, guys, please be a place of peace. Let it be a place of prayer, and let it be a place of fun and play, because let your bedroom be a place of security as well. Let it be a place of refuge where you can run to. Where you can run to with your spouse. Let your bedroom be a place to unwind and relax with the wife of your youth, with the husband of your youth. It is in the bedroom, on that sacred marriage bed where oneness is perfected. It is in the secret.
I can see another question here we might end up losing because it's right at the bottom. Let me just quickly read the question. Can I?
Okay.
Yeah, in fact, just before I read the question, before I read the question, let me also just to augment what you've just said. If you've got issues that are unresolved and you have to get into the bedroom, get into the bedroom if those issues are not resolved, but don't do sex that day. Just don't. That's my advice or my counsel to you. Now, let me read this question. It says, so one thing that people are afraid of talking about is compatibility. What happens when you are not compatible sexually? It's a very big question, that one, trust me. We grew up sex, kuyenzelwe otata. What happens when the woman is more active? Most men struggle with this fact. Some get angry, struggle taking accountability or seeking help. How do we help? Can we talk about this? Apa enkonzweni. That person is questioning. I think your question is about compatibility. Now, the issues of compatibility, friends, are issues which can be dealt with long term. That is why even before you get married, we go through some sessions about sex and sexuality with the couple. I do a lot of premarital guidance. I do them even online these days of COVID where we cannot meet person to person. I do that. But the issues of compatibility always come up. This question is very relevant. The issue of compatibility, there are many factors that affect compatibility. The background, where the other person comes from, their upbringing, what thoughts psychologically they have about sex. Is it taboo? Is it bad? Is it evil? What teachings have they been taught about sex? So the sex is more in the mind than it is physically. Physically, everybody can do what can be done. But it starts in the mind. Once the mind is not correct when it comes to the item of sex, then you come up with questions of incompatibility. Another thing is, how many miles do you have? The mileage that you have prior to getting married. Now, those issues, people hardly talk about them. And people would hardly talk about them in this day and age because today the world is highly sexualized. It's more like when you have a boyfriend, there has to be a vacation and there has to be times in which you just go out and have some fun and have sex, etc., even before you get married. Those things, beloved friends, they may not sound important, but I can tell you now, they are very much important. I don't know whether I'm still online.
Yes, you are. You are.
Oh,
let me
okay, fine.
quickly mention these things. Let me quickly mention these 4 things, Lavi, that we said we're going to mention as we close. 4 tips to make your partner fall for you deeply. Please go and do these things. 4 things that will make your partner to really fall deeply with you. Now, the first one, I think we mentioned on our way, create a suspense in your relationship, please. You did mention, Lavi, that it must be exciting. We must not be boring. We must be spontaneous. You must not be predictable. Always give them something to look forward to. Whisper some things when they go, when they are at work, send some naughty messages, be exciting. Somebody asked earlier on, what does creativity mean? This is part of creativity. So please, do that. And another thing, anticipate their needs. Anticipate their needs. Don't wait for them to always ask. Don't wait for them to always, ask which one's or something. Sometimes, please, think, what will they need for lunch? What will they need for dinner? Is their car washed? Is their car filled with petrol? Anticipate their needs, because if you do that, then it means you care for your partner. The third one, support them. Support your partner in all aspects. Support your partner in all aspects with your words, with your actions. Carry them in your head. Support them in all aspects. The last one, please satisfy your partner. Satisfying your partner is the key.
Are we still there?
Key. It's a love language. Speak their love language or learn their love language so that you are satisfy them in all aspects. That's the dangerous thing to do, not to know the love language of your partner, because you want to expect.
Ma'am Kamel.
Yes.
Yes, can I just request Babu Kamela to switch off one device because it's got 2 devices on. That's why we're having the interruption.
Okay. All right.
Babu Kamela, can you just switch off one device?
Or I can mute one device?
Yes, please.
Yeah. Oh my goodness. I don't know which one is muted. Okay. Okay, you can mute me on another device. I don't know what's the story here.
Yeah, let's try it again. Ma'am Kamela, you can carry on.
Okay, no, I was about to finish because I mentioned these 4 important items, and the last one was saying satisfy your partner. And I was saying in satisfying your partner, you try to understand their love language. You try to see where to meet your partner. Because sometimes you think you are doing it, and yet you are not actually doing it, because you are not doing it the way it's supposed to do. That's why earlier on somebody spoke about compatibility. So you need, let us make it our own thing. If our parents didn't teach us these things, let us make it our thing in Toba. Let me know what is the love language of my husband or of my wife, so that I can meet her at her point of need. So I said, guys, satisfy your partner, support your partner, anticipate their need, and do it even before they ask. That's what I said. And yes, those are the things that I wanted to mention before I close off.
All right. I'm only using one device right now. The other one was helping me with the questions. I don't know whether there are questions because on the phone I can't see them. if there are any questions, maybe somebody can read them for me, if there are any, other than those that I've already answered, because I can't see any questions at this time.
Okay. I cannot go, Lovey, without mentioning this to the ladies. Ladies, this is work. This is work. So you need to be active. You need to be actively involved. You need to take care of yourself, love yourself. When you love yourself, I'm telling you, it's gonna rub off. It's gonna rub off to your sexual life. If you are an untidy lady, it's gonna affect your sexual life. It's gonna affect your sexual life. So I'm going to appeal to you to please love yourself, take care of yourself, and improve your sexual life. Make it a priority. The same way you are prioritizing your kids, the same way you are prioritizing cooking in the kitchen, prioritize your sex life. There's no way you will get tired. There's no way you will have headache. There's no way yikhuthalele lento. Yikhuthalele kuzosetshenzwa emtshatweni. Kuzosetshenzwa emtshatweni azange uzodlalwa apha. Kuzosetshenzwa and you work until you uzawuphumla xa usemathuneni. Otherwise kuzosetshenzwa la. That's what I wanted to say to you.
Oh, lovely. I don't know how much time we've got, but I would have loved my screen to be bigger so that I'll be able to see the questions if there are any. Something happened to my screen. I can see myself on the other screen. I can see here also, but I just do not know whether there are questions. Somebody wrote somewhere and I saw it. So no to Nando's. I wonder what does that mean? We don't know these things. We've been born much earlier. Somebody's mentioning Nando. I don't know what that means really. Okay.
Okay. Maybe on the side, Lavi, I would have loved to maybe one day I'll have session with the ladies because there are some things that we need to talk about. I want the ladies to use a lot of cloves. I don't know whether they call it cloves or they call it love, whatever they call it. I want the ladies to use more of that because it has so much benefits. It tightens the vagina. It fights the infection. It gives you honey pot and a pleasant smell. So I want ladies, I'm sorry if I'm using it on this platform, but I want, because we are talking about this item, and Nanawe, when we talk about this item, we are not we speak about it right as it is. So there are benefits, guys. Adopt it as your lifestyle. Use the cloves. They are, if you look at how they are, I don't know, God is naughty or what. If you look at the clove, they have an image of a male organ. Go and look at the clove. They have that image. For what good reason? I don't know. But I'm saying to you, get yourself that. Get yourself that. If we are on the site, I will tell you that you need salt, you need clove, you need hot water. As to how you use it, it's gonna help you. But I've just highlighted to you the benefits, that it's going to tighten your V and it's going to fight your infections and it's going to give you a honey pot and a pleasant smell. Okay? Viva to clove. They're talking about Lavi. You said they're talking about Kentucky. What did you say? They're talking about what?
Somebody said no to Nando's, and I think it's got to do with. I'm sure. In my thinking now, maybe it's just the way the Nando's chicken lies with its back. You know, it's just lying there, opening its legs. Now, you see, this is my thinking. I don't know. I'm just thinking.
No to that one. No to that one. No to that one. No to that one. In fact, ladies are so curious. Ladies are so curious that they like to look. Let me just hold it there.
Yeah, and then of course, gentlemen, as we are about to wrap the session, I want you to also know that you can do your Kegel exercises. While ladies will talk about them some other time, my wife will talk about Kegel exercises, but gentlemen, you do that as well. Battle exercises will strengthen the muscle of your organ. You discover that when you stiffen and more like you use your pincers at the back of the buttock, so to speak, to tighten, and your penis also strengthens, and the muscles are done. You do it all the time. You do it when you go to pee, and you don't just let your pee just go away like that. You hold it, you let it go, you hold it and let it go, more like an exercise. You're exercising those muscles, and I can tell you, those muscles get so much exercise that they become strong many, many, many years after you've been a young person. When you're no longer a young person like myself, I'm an old man now, but I can tell you now, wow. You do those exercises, they help.
Yes, even when you are driving, not only when you go to pee, when you are driving, when the robot is green, that's your opportunity to hold, let's hold, that's every time. Even when you are in a meeting, in a board meeting, you can still continue doing the exercises all the time. It's something that is going to help you.
Yeah, it keeps you more like a virgin all the time. It's like, yeah, that's exactly it is. It's the pleasure of, these are some of the great things God has created for us to be able to enjoy perpetually until you go to your grave.
There's a last question that I saw, Lavi, Appa, that says, what about temperance? Something like temperance there. I can say, in everything that we do
it to the glory of God. Everything that you do, everything that you do, everything that you do,
exactly,
you do it to the glory of God.
Sure. In fact, some scientists will tell us, not only scientists, even the spirit of prophecy. You read that book, Marriage Wall to Wall by Ellen White. Also the other book, it's all about marriage. It's specifically written to couples. The issue of temperance is highly mentioned, that you should be temperate in all things. As Mam Kamela has just mentioned, that we do all things to the glory of God. And I think all things work together. The moment you take care of your body takes care of you when you have to do the act. And God is not lying when he's sending his a servant to tell us about these things of being temperate in all things. And once you are temperate, you actually have maximum output on the actual act when you have to do the actual sex act. Temperance with food, the food that you eat can also inhibit or can also curb your vitality. But if you eat correctly, I can tell you your vitality is sharpened and you become a good husband in the bedroom so many years after you've been a young person, which you're no longer a young person, but you can still be sharpened. When the counsel is given to us by the spirit of prophecy, it's given for our good. God is not trying to hide something sweet and good for us when he said, be temperate. He's saying be temperate because he knows that by little of that which we should have indulged in, we take little of it, but we will have maximum output. We will have maximum enjoyment. It's always for our good. It's not for our bad. So it's important
you can't be drinking Coke and burping all the time and think
exactly.
that you're going to be smart in the bed.
And alcohol, these days, people drink alcohol like they're drinking water. I can tell you now that those things, just put them away if you want to maximize your sexual activity. Talking about temperance, yeah. Ma'am Kamela, are we not concluding?
Yes, Lavi, we are done. I actually want you to drive and come back to the Free State now.
I'll be there shortly. Don't worry. I needed to do something here in the Northern Cape quickly. All right. I don't know, folk. I don't see any questions. If there are any, they are not visible on my screen. But yeah, thank you so much for really inviting us. Yeah, I think that one is actually thanking us. Maybe there are no questions. Somebody called Bongolo Ntombela. Yes, thank you also. Thank you for inviting us. I don't know if there's somebody who's going to be saying anything before we close.
Thank you for the great presentation. I'm sure we learned a lot as couples. Fanele kusetshenzwe emshadweni, guys, and enjoy this. Life is short. We must enjoy it every day. 365 days. 365 days again.
Pastor, I know there's one question that you did miss. Where can we purchase your book?
No, that book is not for sale. It's a book that I've prepared, probably about 40 to 45 pages, which I've prepared, which is a book that it's a workbook for premarital guidance.
All right, then maybe the question would be, if you are already married and wanted to reach out, and someone wanted to reach out to you for counseling, how do we go about doing that, seeing as the couples that you're addressing this evening are all married couples?
No, it's fine. I do married people. I do also premarital guidance because of this Zoom thing. Because of this COVID thing, I actually do it via Zoom these days. Of course, where I am, sometimes I get to be in Port Elizabeth. People come to the office, but where I can't meet them in person, we do the couples via Zoom. And I can tell you, it's very good because I actually send the material on their email and they look at the material and we deal with that material that they've already received from my desk. And then we do the counseling. And of course, counseling is not for free. It's a service that I render, but it's not a free service. But you can get me any moment. If there's somebody who might be having our telephone numbers there, you ask for your elder, it's just called me, you ask them for our phone numbers, then we can always arrange a Zoom meeting wherever I am.
I can mention that a post-marital counseling is something that is necessary. You don't have to wait until you encounter some challenges. You don't have to. In fact, when you look at the, what do you call it, Lavi, that you have, that book that you have, that brochure, yes, that's the word I'm looking. The brochure will actually tell you, it will indicate areas that are of interest, are of need to you. So you don't have to be counseling. Sometimes we think people go to counseling only when they're having problems, which is very wrong. You can do your counseling while you are still enjoying yourself so that you enhance your marriage and enjoy your marriage.
Yeah, just before we close quickly, we only have 2 minutes. I will also send the brochure to the elder. If the elder can just contact me so that I can send him, so that after the brochure has been sent to the elder, and then he can distribute it to everyone who is listening to us and everyone whom he believes should have some interest. The brochure that talks about all the topics that I deal with in my premarital and postmarital guidance. So, Elder, you can contact me, and then I will just send you even via WhatsApp. I'll send you that brochure via WhatsApp, and then you can distribute that brochure via WhatsApp to everybody.
It's been hot like a heat whore, as people would say. Thank you so much. Thank you so much for empowering us. We may be shy on Zoom when we say sex, but hopefully when we go and implement what you taught us, we will implement it with the same passion that you have shared. So thank you so much. Thank you for your time. Thank you for your honesty. Thank you for sharing this knowledge with us. We really do appreciate it. I think I speak on behalf of all the couples at KPC and everyone who has joined this evening. We have been empowered And we'll definitely implement what we have learned going forward. And for those who are asking for the book, I'm sure they'll be reaching out to you.
God bless you. Thank you, folks. Thank you so much. God bless everybody.
Okay.
Thank you so much, Langa. Thank you.
Thanks. Bye.